offering our most reverential and humble salutations at the divine lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagavan, Shri Sathya Sai. That Shri Sathya Sai, as expressed beautifully in the song that you just sang, when Kasturiji, the biographer of Bhagavan, once being in his presence was so overwhelming for Kasturiji that he asked Swami, Swami, who really are you? And Bhagavan very naturally burst forth with this poem about himself, describing himself. He said, Sarva Rupa Dharam Shantam. I am the one who have assumed all the forms in the entire creation. Across the multiverses that science today recognizes as a possibility, Bhagavan says, I have assumed all the forms. And yet, he is the unassuming, silent substratum. Sarvanama Dharam Shiva. Bhagavan said, every form goes with a name. This has a form and therefore has a name. That is a mic. This is a table, a name. It has a form. Each one of us here have a form and also a name. And what Bhagavan is saying is, since all the forms are assumed by He Himself, all the names are also His. And therefore, every name is pure auspiciousness, Shiva. But then He clarifies, while I pervade the multiplicity of the creation, I am not many. I am only one, without the second, Advaitam. And my true name, as Swami would go on to proclaim many times in his divine discourses, he would say, you may call me by many names, but my real nature and real name is Satchitananda. And again, there is something beautifully expressed right in the beginning of the song that was just sung before we commenced this session. Satchitananda means Sat is the presence. We call it the presence because our presence and God's presence is one and the same. And therefore there is only one presence. There were a group of Sai youth from Delhi who had visited Prasanthi Pilgrimage, and they were fortunate to receive an interview with Swami. In the interview, they went to Swami and said, Swami, when we come to Prasanthi Nilayam, it is so beautiful. We experience your presence so intensely. But alas, when we go back to Delhi, we don't experience your presence anymore. What should we do? Swami asked them a question in return. Swami said, do you experience your own presence in Delhi? They said, yes, Swami. Then Swami very casually said, your presence and my presence are one and the same. So the presence that we are, beyond the changeful nature of our physicality, our body, the presence that we are, that is a witness to the very tumultuous mind, or it could be a peaceful mind as well, whatever be the nature of the mind. The presence that we are, that is witness to each of the vagaries of the mind. That presence and Bhagavan are one and the same. So that presence is called Sat or truth. Chit means awareness. Normally when we wake up from sleep, our awareness is constantly directed outward, isn't it? The first thing we do is if you carefully note the process of waking up and pay attention to it, you will find that from deep sleep, especially when you wake up, actually the first thing that occurs to you is I am. It may not be so profound, but you know you exist. The awareness of I exist or I am is the first thing that wakes up. Then the first thought that flies by, this I am awareness has the power of attention, has the power of knowledge. What does this knowledge mean? Knowledge not in terms of information, as in what we gather, but what it means is, on whatever it puts its attention, it gets to know about it. Right? So there is a fleeting thought, the I am awareness of yours, when it associates its attention to the thought, it becomes aware of the thought. Then the thought may say, oh, I need a morning cup of coffee. So then that leads to another train of thoughts. Then you start becoming more and more aware of not just thoughts, but what your eyes are seeing, what your ears are hearing, what your skin is feeling, what your tongue is tasting, what your nose is smelling, so on and so forth. You see? So the entire experience of life after that is an outward movement. And that is what the senses are made for. Because the senses are windows, and in your homes you have windows. And sitting inside your house, you don't use the windows to look into the house, isn't it? What do you use it for? To look outside. That's why you have windows. In the same way, in this home called the human body, the senses that you have are windows, and they are meant to look out, and therefore it's natural. Don't blame them. That's their duty. They are doing their duty well. Right? So, this is what happens when you wake up. This awareness of the I am presence that you are, the existence that you are, is moving outward as soon as you wake up and become aware of this world. You see? This outward movement, if you are able to hold it and turn it back to its source, where the awareness came from, that is called Sat-Chit. Means the Chit or awareness is turned towards its source, which is pure presence. Your own presence, not some presence. Right? So, when that happens, you know yourself to be of the nature of bliss. Bliss is not something that you seek. Bliss is who you are. It's your fragrance. And Swami declared that, and he said, his own nature is Satchitananda Advaitam. That presence is non-dual. In fact, let me ask each one of you, are you present now? Are you present? Yes? Can you pay attention to the sensation of your presence? Not the body, but just the presence that you are. Is the presence having any gender? The body has gender, but the presence, does it have any gender? Does it have any shape? Does it have any size? Is it the same for all of you? Across different forms that are here? Do you agree? If it is so, which means each of your description of your own presence is exactly the same, but can you describe your body being exactly the same as somebody else, or your mind being exactly the same as somebody else? Not possible. Because in the variety that the nature is, every part of the creation is unique that way, and it's diverse. But the presence that you are is the same. See, that is why Swami said, your presence is my presence. And therefore, it's impossible for God to leave you. You can tell God very happily, sorry my dear God, you can't leave me because you are and therefore I am. Even your idea of your individuality is sprouting from your presence, and therefore that presence which is God himself is, and therefore even an idea of who you are is coming into being. Right? So God is inseparable from you. From here, Bhagavan goes on to say that while this can be a little imperceptible, I see some blank faces here and there. That's okay, no problem. If this is something that you would like to know, however, we can take it up later today and do some exercises or activities that will bring you face to face with who you really are. But then that's left to you. Going ahead with what Bhagavan said, he said that this Satchitananda generally for an ordinary mind is imperceptible, not in the grasp of the mind. And therefore, he had to take a form. And he took such a beautiful form. And this form is the very embodiment of Sathya, truth. And it is pure auspiciousness, Shiva. And it is beautiful, Sundaram. Oh, I'm sorry. Swami once said this, when, Swami had this beautiful habit of setting his hair in front of a mirror just before coming for darshan, so that the already beautiful Swami can look even more beautiful to each one of us when he comes out for darshan. And he would set his hair, and there was a student next to him, and he turns towards him and says, Ela Onandra in Telugu, which means, how do I look today? So the boy was stupefied. He said, Swami, you look beautiful. Swami said, nah, I don't look beautiful. I am beauty itself. This is what Swami said. I am beauty itself. When you see the rising sun, or when you see the beautiful sunset, when you see the laughter of a child, a baby, or when you see a blossoming flower, the beautiful nature that you see gets its beauty from him. He is the beauty that makes things beautiful. You see? That's why he said, nah, I'm not beautiful. I'm beauty itself. Sundaram. So Satyam Shivam Sundaram is verily the form of Bhagavan. And guess what? Bhagavan's beautiful form, he says, is the concretization of the intense penance of the devotees for thousands of years. It is the devotee's own yearning that has taken this shape. And therefore he says, my form is completely yours. And in this session, we will make use of this aspect towards the end in order to do something which Swami himself advised. But before that, we will go into this session today. The overall theme for all the retreats in Australia is called the Journey with Sai. And what we have done is basically we have defined in our own way, we've rather interpreted this theme in our own way. And this Journey with Sai has a unique aspect in Australia. Every city that we are going to go to, we were in Melbourne, we are here today, we'll be going to the Gold Coast and then eventually to Sydney. So the Journey with Sai is complete within each city and it also stitches across the cities. And I'll show you how. And therefore, beyond this session also, they will make the videos available for you all from the other cities. So please do take a look at them as well, because they all are threaded, right? In this session will be complete in itself, okay? So, what really is Journey with Sai? As Latashi Aunty beautifully described this, the syllable Sa, Swami always says represents divinity. Sa means divinity, right? So what is Sai then? Sai means this little I that is there here, this little I, each one of these little eyes, the journey of this I towards Sa, to become one with Sa or divinity. Well, when the I becomes one with Sa, it becomes Sai. So this journey of the little I to merge into its own divine nature. I'm saying in its own because I don't want you to think of divinity as somewhere there. It's your own nature. Your presence is His presence, right? So how does this the limited idea of ourselves, the small idea of ourselves, how does that go and merge into the infinite, limitless, boundless, changeless idea of ourselves? And that changeless idea is Swami or Sai, Sa, right? So the entire journey with Sai is as simple as this. Now Bhagavan describes this journey in 4 levels, 4 stages. Sa, he says, in fact Swami refers to the religion of Islam and says this, that in Islam there is a word called salam. Right? The word called salam actually means this Bhagavan described. What is this? Sa in salam basically means salokyam, which means living in the kingdom of God. These are 4 types of liberation or 4 levels of liberation for this little line. So salokyam means the level of liberation that's attained when you live in the kingdom of God. Samipyam means the level of liberation that is attained not just when you live in the kingdom of God. See, God's kingdom can be huge and the king may be on his throne in one of his palaces, right? So even if you're in the kingdom of God, you may not be with God, technically. I mean, just to put it in a perspective. But then, what Samipyam means is, not just are you in the kingdom of God, but you're directly in the close proximity to God. Nearness and dearness to God. See? And the third one is called Sarupyam. Sarupyam is when this proximity converts into a sense of such surrender to God that you no longer exist already. And it is only God's grace that is flowing through you. In Samipyam, you're serving God to earn His grace. But in Sarupyam, that is, Rupam means form, but it doesn't really mean the physical form of God. What it means is, the qualities of divinity start exuding through you as your fragrance. Like we said, when you become aware of who you are, Ananda or bliss is your own fragrance. And that is the fragrance of God. That is Sarupyam. Right? Finally, Sayujyam basically means complete total merger in God. But that is, the small I is fully merged in Sa and it becomes Sai. Right? So this is the journey that Swami gives and says, in Islam, the word salam, which is very important because we address each other in that religion as salam, and Sa represents Salokyam, Samipyam, Sarupyam, Sayujyam, all the 4 stages. And Bhagavan says La, that is the Lam in the Salam, represents the complete merger into divinity. Right? So Salam basically means this. He says, see how Swami seamlessly integrates and says, what all religions are talking about is the same thing. The goal is the same, that the little individual devotee, the I, has to merge in their own divine nature. That's all it is. So, in this session, we are going to focus on Samipyam, that is how to be near and dear to God. In Melbourne, we focused a little more in detail about Salokyam, how to live in the kingdom of God. So, please watch that and you will get more idea about that. And they will have to watch this to know more about how to be near and dear to God. Right? So this is a beautiful photo of Kasturiji with Swami. It so happened one day when Swami had made his sojourns to the Himalayas, that is Rishikesh, Haridwar, that side, Kasturiji desperately wanted a mantra from Swami. So he was behind Swami literally and he was like, Swami, please give me a mantra, please give me a mantra. And he would try his best. Swami would always, Swami's word, Manchivi Bangaru, Chustamu, Chestamu. He will never say yes. He'll say, we'll see. Definitely, I'll tell you. That's how Swami would speak. And so Swami was evading him for a long time. So one morning, he went and told Swami, one evening rather, he went and told Swami, Swami, tomorrow morning, I want mantra. Tomorrow I want mantra. Swami said, okay, you go, get ready and come. He didn't say he'll give. He just said, go get ready and come. So Kasturiji was so excited. He got up early in the morning, went to the Ganges. It's in the Himalayas. Imagine the scene. He went to the Ganges. In the sacred, holy Ganges, he took a dip, cleansed himself, all auspiciousness, wore fresh dhoti and all that, and put vibhuti on his forehead and came to Swami to receive a mantra. And Swami didn't give anything. So he was waiting. He was fasting because he felt he should receive the mantra while fasting. So no breakfast. Then lunch, no lunch. And he was getting restless. He was like, Swami, please give the mantra. I have not had breakfast, I have not had lunch. And as he was telling this to Swami, he was very close to Swami, just like this. He was very close to Swami. His hand was touching Swami's hand. And Swami's beautiful crown of hair was brushing against his cheek, Kasturiji's cheek, because he's gone really close to Swami to whisper to him, pleading for the mantra. Nobody else should know, right? So Swami just did this. When he moved his head, in fact, Swami's hair brushes against Kasturiji's face. How much more closer do you want to get to God, he says. Kasturiji wants the mantra to get close to God. And Swami says, how much more closer do you want to get to God? Of course, Swami was awaiting him. But then, that's a beautiful lesson for a devotee. That is, when God incarnates in the physical form, every word uttered by God is a mantra. You don't need a separate mantra. Every word uttered by God is a mantra. Mantra in Sanskrit means Mananam Prayate Iti, which means somebody who's able to grasp this mantra in their mind and ruminate over it in such a way that they start experiencing what it really means, that liberates them. Trayate Iti means that liberates them from the mind itself. Because mind is the only problem, so that liberates them from the mind itself. So Bhagavan, by saying that, how much more closer do you want to get to God? He was saying that God, when He incarnates physically, His word and He Himself are one and the same. Right? So that brings us to another story. Very beautiful. This is my personal favorite. So this beautiful devotee you see here, the tall devotee you see here, is the Maharaja of a kingdom called Venkatagiri. It's in the state of Andhra Pradesh, the same state where Puttaparthi also belongs to. And this is closer to the temple shrine of Tirupati. So there's a kingdom. This Maharaja, we happen to visit his palace. And he has a palace of just around 300 rooms. And Swami, in the early 50s, would visit the Maharaja of Venkatagiri every year on Ramanavami Day, especially. That is the birthday of Swami's incarnation as Sri Rama. Swami would ensure he is there. Many times miraculous things would happen. Swami would just suddenly throw up, and he would not throw up some stuff from inside, but Vibhuti and idols of Rama and Sita, we have seen those idols. Though all of those emerged from Swami, right? So this was a regular thing in the early 50s. Every Ramanavami, Swami is there in Venkatagiri, right? So why is that? One reason could be, this is our speculation, that this Maharaja of Venkatagiri was an ardent devotee of Sri Rama. He was such a beautiful devotee that even if he had, say, flights, those days there were very few flights, but he would have the privilege to fly. And suppose he's going to London, he would go somewhere to Middle East first and then go to London. He would deliberately break his journey such that the time of his sadhana, he had a very simple sadhana, that is, he would contemplate on Sri Rama. Right? All of you are familiar with Rama, right? Here. So that I don't assume. Everybody's familiar? Right till the end? The backbenchers, Sai Ram. Yeah? Okay. Great. So, he was such a great devotee of Rama that he would ensure that his sadhana time, he would not miss the time for anything. So, whatever may happen, he would break his journey, plan his journey in such a way, or stop whatever he was doing, and he would go and sit for his sadhana. That is the kind of discipline that he had in his sadhana. And Swami loved him. Swami used to tell us about him and say that he's such a devotee No, I won't tell the story now. Maybe later. So what happened was, once when Swami went to Venkatagiri, this is Swami in Venkatagiri, right? This is one of the darshans and yajnas that Swami performed in the city of Venkatagiri, and Swami's seated was so beautiful. And when Swami visited Venkatagiri, he would give darshans from the balcony of the palace. So 300-room palace, you can imagine the size of the balcony as well. So he would stand there majestically, Swami would stand there, the king, the Maharaja would stand next to Swami like this, and thousands of people would gather in the grounds in front of them to have Swami's darshan. One such darshan, when they were having, the Maharaja's time for sadhana came. So what he did is, he called one of his ministers, put him in charge so that he can take care of Swami, and without making any noise, slowly slipped out of that place, even while Swami was giving darshan. He slipped out of the place and went into his puja room. His puja room is about this size. So he went into that room, and when we saw that room, it's so beautiful because it's a huge space, but he has a simple altar. He would sit on the floor on a carpet. He has a small mat. He has a beautiful photograph of the Pattabhishekam, the coronation of Sri Rama. You know, you have Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, Hanuman, and all of them there. The coronation of Rama is the scene. And there is Swami's photo. That's all it is, his altar. No paraphernalia for the king. And he would simply sit there and meditate on Rama. That was his sadhana. And Swami noticed that the king left. Swami sneaked out from his darshan and slowly tiptoed into the Maharaja's puja room. And nobody is allowed inside Maharaja's puja room. But who can stop Swami? So Swami tiptoed into the Maharaja's puja room and went. Look at the compassion and love of God. This devotee, the sadhaka, is contemplating on Rama with his eyes closed. Swami, the Lord himself, Rama himself, walks into that room, sees that he is still doing his sadhana, and patiently waits in front of him without disturbing him. And Swami is standing in front of the Maharaja. Maharaja is seated doing his sadhana. Suddenly something strikes the Maharaja and he opens his eyes. And when he opened his eyes, what he saw was not our Swami, the cute little 5'3" Swami, but a towering form of Sri Rama, decked in all his glory with the Kodanda bow in his hand. The form that he would pray to day in and day out, he saw with his eyes open. It was not Swami anymore, it was that huge, splendorous form of Sri Rama that he had the darshan of. And the energy of that darshan was so intense that you can see his height, he's 6'3". He just collapsed. The Maharaja fainted because he couldn't behold the energy of the darshan that Swami gave him as Sri Rama, his favorite deity, right? And after that, what happened is kind of hilarious. The little Swami, 5'3" Swami, lifted the Maharaja, gave support on his shoulder and brought him out. And Maharaja is really tall. So people were wondering what has happened to the Maharaja. That Baba is holding him with his, supporting him on his shoulder and bringing him out. And Swami said, he pointed to everybody to, rest their speculations. And he put the Maharaja on a couch and said, in a couple of hours' time, he will wake up, don't worry. And Swami retired to his room. Just as Swami said, in a couple of hours, the Maharaja wakes up from his experience and immediately he summons all the people in the palace, all the ladies, all the ministers, everybody. He said, I want everybody to assemble. He has a huge bhajan room. So he said, I want everybody to assemble in the bhajan room, and they all assemble. He goes there and the Maharaja says, today I know this in my own experience that my Sathya Sai is not just Sathya Sai, he is my Sathya Sai Rama, he says. He is that Kausalya Rama, he is that Kodanda Rama who has now come as Sathya Sai. He is my Rama and I have seen it with my eyes open. This is how he declared to all his subjects in that bhajan room of the palace. So Swami is verily all the incarnations, be it Krishna, be it Rama, be it Jesus, be it Shirdi Sai, be it Sathya Sai, all the forms are his. You see? So whichever form we call out to, Devi, any form we call out to, it always reaches him, right? So this experience now leads us to another experience that happened. This happened in the year 2007 when we were all seated around Swami in Kodaikanal, Sai Shruti. So one day, Swami had a very interesting question to ask us. Usually it's the other way around. So we all sit around Swami and we say, Swami, we have some questions to ask, and somebody would ask a question and Swami would then give a discourse based on that. But that day, Swami asked us a question. He said, boys, can you tell me who are the 5 nearest and dearest to Sri Rama? Right? He himself is Sri Rama. So he's asking, can you tell me who are the 5 nearest and dearest to Sri Rama? So I ask the same question here to all of you. Who are the 5 nearest and dearest to Sri Rama? Those who know, please don't tell me. Let the rest of them guess. Can you guess? Just make a guess from the story. I'm sure. Hanuman. Okay. That's one. Lakshmana. Yeah. Definitely a good candidate for that. Sita. Yeah. Any more guesses? So we were guessing just like this. All kinds of, we even said Sugriva, we even said Vibhishana. Because they all had, because Swami gave a hint. He said, these 5 had complete total surrender to Sri Rama. These were the words of Swami. He said, these 5 had complete total surrender to Sri Rama. And therefore they were near and dear to him. And we became silent after giving these options. Because we didn't know. Swami wants the exact 5. Then in his own inimitable style, with such beauty and grace, he says, the 5 nearest and dearest to Sri Rama are Kausalya Supraja Rama, Mother Kausalya, whose beautiful son is Sri Rama. Vaidehi Priya Rama. Vaidehi is another name for Mother Sita. So one who is dear to his wife Vaidehi. Ahalyo Dharaka Rama. The one who redeemed the great symbol of womanhood, that is Mother Ahalya. Hanumat Sevita Rama, the one who was served by the extraordinary Hanuman himself. And Bharatagraja Sri Rama, Swami said. The 5th one is Bharata, whose elder brother is Sri Rama. So this is the description he said. And he said, these are the 5 nearest and dearest to Sri Rama. They had complete and total surrender to Swami. I'm going to call Sri Rama as Swami, is that okay? Because it's the same. So they had complete and total surrender to Swami. And therefore, he said they were nearest and dearest. And he further said, if you learn how they were, if you know about them and learn how they were and try to practice it, you will also be near and dear to Swami. And therefore, this entire session is about that. How can we learn from them to be near and dear to Swami? Besides this, there is one more object to this session. That is, this session is also going to be a Bhajan Bhava workshop for all of you. What does that mean? Bhajan without Bhava is just singing songs. Right? It is Bhava that makes a song into a Bhajan or Sankirtana. And therefore, how do we inculcate bhava or feelings into a bhajan that we sing or a song that we sing, that transmute it into a worship to the Lord? So that also we will be experiencing through this. So in between, we will be having some bhajan. I request each of you to join your hearts and your voices and your hands in each of the bhajans that we are going to sing. Right? Thank you. So these are the 5 nearest and dearest. Let's go to the first one. Kausalya Supraja Rama, the dear child of Mother Kausalya. Swami describes that actually Mother Kausalya and Swami's father Dasharatha, they both in their previous incarnation were called Manu and Shatarupa. Manu and Shatarupa. And they were extremely pious and great emperors of the kingdom of Bharat. That is the entire peninsula of Bharat. They were the emperors of the kingdom. And Manu and Shatarupa engaged themselves in intense penance to Lord Narayana. Why? They engaged in penance in order to win his grace. They didn't have a child at that point. So they prayed to Lord Narayana, and Lord Narayana appeared before them. And they asked him for an exclusive boon. What was that boon? They said, please give us a son just like you. They told the Lord, please give us a child just like you. So for the first time probably the Lord was perplexed. And he said, just like me? Actually there is nobody just like me. So what I'll do is I myself will come to you as your child. But then he said, because now you have grown old through intense penance, I will come to you as your child in your next incarnation. And therefore, that Manu, Bhagavan describes, was born as Dasharatha, and Shatarupa, his wife, was born as Kausalya, whom Dasharatha married. Right? Besides this, Swami always says the ladies have more devotion than the gents. There is no question about it. We can't protest this. It's Swami's words. So, Mother Shatarupa, she was very clever, I would say, and also devoted in order to ask for one additional boon. So, they were granted one boon. Now, Mother Shatarupa said, see, now that you have accepted me as your mother, maybe in the next birth, but you have already accepted me as your mother. Therefore, I have the right to ask for one more boon from my son. So, my boon is, in that incarnation, I must remember who you are. That's what she asked. You will be born to me as my child, but I must remember who you are. And therefore, Swami describes in Ramagatha Rasavayini and through discourses in summer courses that Mother Kausalya was one of the few people who actually knew that Rama was divine. Very few people knew that Rama was divine. They were just in love with Rama because of who he was. Ramyate Rama, the one who attracts your heart and pleases your mind. That is Rama. But everybody was in love with that Rama. But there were very few who actually knew that Rama was divine. And Mother Kausalya was one such because of her boon. And Swami describes very intricate details. For example, Mother Kausalya had an altar of Lord Narayana, and she would keep rice pudding as Naivedyam, as an offering to the Lord. And after a while, Rama would be in the cradle as a baby, not even knowing how to, crawl across the floor, still kicking his hands and feet, that age. She will go and see that the rice pudding, the milk part of it has gone down. So she will wonder, I offered it to the Lord, where did it go? Who drank away this? And many a time she would come back to the cradle and see marks of milk around the baby's mouth. The baby can't even get out of the cradle actually. So what she offered Lord Narayana would reach her son in the cradle. Such beautiful experience. So much so, Mother Kausalya was so convinced about the divinity of Rama that this is Swami's description again. She would put Rama to sleep by singing lullabies. And once the baby Rama goes to sleep, she looks around to see if her servant maids are still there. She looks around to see if Dasharatha is there somewhere in the corner. Once she is sure that there is nobody in the vicinity, she would touch the little baby feet of Sri Rama and take Pada Namaskar. So that people don't find it weird. So she would do that because she remembered. That is Mother Kausalya. But the most important quality of Mother Kausalya is what Aunty Latashi also described, equanimity. Swami says that, King Dasharatha had 3 wives and his favorite wife was not Kausalya. He had a lot of affection or greater affection, I would say. He was just king, but he had greater affection for his third wife, who was Kaikeyi. But Swami describes this and says, Mother Kausalya was always equanimous. Whatever she received in life, she took it as Bhagwan's prasad. And therefore, she never, of course, the physical nature of any human being will be affected by difficult situations, but her inner core was rock solid. It was never tampered with because of her equanimity. And Bhagwan says that this equanimity is very important, and it is the first sign of absolute surrender. This happened again in 2007 in Chennai, when Bhagwan had taken us for the Atirudra Mahayajna. And one session, Swami was seated on his throne, on his chair, and in front of him was a round table. And Swami had selected 5 of us as speakers for the Atirudra Mahayajna. So suddenly he looked at us and said, "Hey speakers, come here." So literally, because we are not the speakers, right? Where is the speaker? We are there. Means literally just mouthpieces. The actual source is Swami. So he called us, and maybe I should tell you this as well, if you don't know this already, that it happened in Prasanthi Pilgrimage one day, that Swami was asking a few students to give talks, right? He said, "Hey, Matladtava, will you give a speech?" So that boy was trembling. He said, "No, Swami, I am not prepared." "Induku, can you not give?" He said, "No, Swami, I can't. I am not prepared. I don't know what to speak." Ayyo, Papa. So sad. Then he looked at a few other boys and he asked, they were also not ready. Suddenly, the speaker in Prasanthi Nilayam started playing flute. You know, those days before Swami's bhajans start, for 15 minutes there was a flute recital or a sitar recital, right? So flute started playing through the speaker. So everybody's attention suddenly went to the speaker. And then Swami said so beautifully, he said, the speaker is outside, but the source, the player is within, he said. Because the player would literally be inside bhajan hall, playing. So he took that physical scenario as an example to communicate a spiritual lesson. He said, the speaker is outside, but the player is within, he said. You know, so that's Swami. So in coming back to this experience in Chennai, Swami said, "Hey speakers, come here." So we all knelt down around Swami, and he said, "If you have any questions, ask." So the first question came from my left, one of my brothers who were there. He said, "Swami, Sharanagati ante emi in Telugu," which means, "Swami, what is the meaning of Sharanagati or surrender?" Right? Swami gave a beautiful reply and he spoke in Tamil. So this is my the way I would do it is I would say Swami's words as it is because it is his words, and then I will translate it. Is it okay? Yeah. Okay. So Swami said, "Sharanagatila kudukathukku onnum illa. In surrender, there is nothing that you can offer to God. Sharanagatila kudukathukku onnum illa. In surrender, there is nothing that you can offer to God." Then he says, நல்லது நடந்தாலும் கெட்டது நடந்தாலும் எல்லாம் அவர்தான் கொடுக்கிறாருன்னு திருட நம்பிக்கை வச்சுக்கோ, அதுதான் சரணாகதி. Whether good happens to you or what you perceive as bad is happening to you, have firm faith and conviction that it is He who is giving it to you as prasadam for your good. If you have this conviction, whether good is happening or what you perceive as bad is happening to you, you have firm faith and conviction that it is He who is giving it to you for your growth and your welfare. That is surrender. This was Bhagwan's definition of surrender. And then he went on to give a beautiful analogy. Bhagwan said, he asked us, "Do you drive car?" We said, "Yes, Swami." And this is 2007, so most of us had only a car with 4 gears and 1 reverse gear, right? So he asked, "How many gears are there in the car?" So we said, "Swami, 4 gears are there in the car." "What are the gears?" he asked. We said, "Swami, first, second, third, fourth." He said, "Neutral is also there." We said, "Yes, Swami, neutral gear is also there." Then he made a beautiful observation. See, when the car is in neutral gear, it doesn't move. It's as it is. If you want to move, you have to put first gear. When you put first gear, there is a speed limit, right? Means how much ever you accelerate, if you are only in the, I don't know, do you drive stick transmission anymore? Manual transmission? Yeah, you do?
Some still.
Some have still. So I hope everybody is getting an idea of what it is. Yeah. So Swami said if you move to the first gear, then the car moves. But then the first gear, for the youngsters there who haven't seen a manual transmission, it has a speed limit. Even in your automatic, when you press, you can see the transition that happens. You can feel the transition, right? So there is a speed limit for each gear. So he said, when you go in the first gear, it goes like this, slowly. If you want to pick up speed, you have to move to the second gear. Now Bhagavan asked us this question, and I'm going to ask you the same question. So if you were to move faster and therefore move from the first gear to second gear, you just pull the lever directly back like this, without doing anything else. What would happen to the car? Swami asked this question. Yeah? Yeah, it would. First it would jerk and it would stop because you're just pulling the gear directly from first to second. So then he asked us, we told the same thing, Swami, it will jerk and it will just stop there. So then Swami said, if you want to make this transition smooth, what would you do? So we said, Swami, we press the clutch, right? So for the young adults and the younger ones, there is actually a third pedal there, which is called clutch. So you press the clutch, and when you press the clutch and move, the transmission from the first to second gear, second to third, third to fourth is very smooth. You see, taking this as an example, Swami said, life is also like this. Life is an alternating gear of pleasure and pain, the 4 gears of life. What happens? When you are in pleasure, you are anyway enjoying it. So it's fine. Bhagavan said, when you are in another gear, that is when you are in pain also, you get used to it with time. Doesn't that happen? All of us have experienced it. We may have some painful experience, but we just go through it so much that it becomes a norm. It's okay, we adjust to that, right? Then also it's okay. Then Bhagavan said, the problem comes when you switch from pleasure to pain and from pain to pleasure. That is when the problem comes. You see, because the transmission is not smooth and the whole life seems to be in turmoil, it jerks and it could stop as well, right? So for smooth transition from pleasure to pain and pain to pleasure, because life is an interval, pleasure is an interval between 2 pains, and that's how life is. And therefore, this transition has to happen for everybody. So he said, when the transition is happening from pleasure to pain or pain to pleasure, you press the clutch of faith, of surrender. That is, whether good is happening to me or bad is happening to me, it is His gift to me for my own welfare. If you have this clutch pressed, then the transitions become smooth. This was the secret of the life of Mother Kausalya. She was like that. Even when her son Rama was to be coronated as the emperor of the kingdom, in that same auspicious time that was fixed for him to be the emperor, and all of the kingdom wanted to see Rama as the emperor, in that exact auspicious moment, he was sent to the forest. In exile. For what mistake? Nothing. He has not done anything. Imagine yourself to be in that position. You have absolutely not done anything wrong. In fact, the whole world loves you. Immensely loves you. Genuinely loves you. And you are being coronated as their doyen of welfare, and suddenly at that anointed auspicious moment, you are asked to go on exile for no reason of yours. And you know what? Rama walks into Dasharatha's room with a smile on his face when he was to be coronated as the emperor, and when Kaikeyi, who was in that room, communicates to him saying that you are to be sent for 14 years in exile, he walks out with the same smile. That is Rama. And guess what? His mother Kausalya also was like that. Though as a mother she went through a difficult time listening to this, she was her core was composed. That equanimity was there. Her full surrender was there to Rama. She only told Rama, Rama, take me also and go with you. Can you imagine? An elderly lady, she's saying, you're going into a forest infested with demons and wild animals and whatnot. And then this mother is saying, Rama, please take me also. I'm not complaining. I don't have any complaints. I'm just saying, take me and go. And Rama said, no, mother. Your duty is to take care of father. He's unwell. And this exile is only for me. And therefore, I will go on exile. So that is Mother Kausalya. And the lesson that she teaches us is that of surrender. And the definition of surrender Swami has given us. If we take this key with us, this key of surrender, this key of equanimity, then we can become near and dear to Swami. Just like Mother Kausalya. Even today, when Swami is physically around, you could see it, but you can know it today in essence. That when you mention the name of Mother Kausalya, tears would flow in Swami's eyes. That's how much he loves her. Because of her surrender. See? And Mother Ishwarama was just like that. I've heard stories of Mother Ishwarama, some rare story which is not in the books. I was traveling in train in India once and one very elderly grandmother was there. So she needed some help. So immediately I was there to serve her. And she started talking. I don't even know who she is. She asked me where you're going. I said, I'm going to Puttaparthi from Hyderabad. And she says, oh, I'm also going to Puttaparthi. Do you know, I know Swami from when he was very little. I said, wow, this is the best satsang I can have. So I sat there and I said, please tell me everything about it. And then she says that she would visit Mother Ishwarama in the early days. And Mother Ishwarama has told her that little baby Swami, just like how he was in Rama, the little baby Swami would barely walk on his 2 feet, right? But when guests would come to their house, Swami would go with his little palms, he would do like this. He could hardly speak even, but he would do like this. Toffees and other things would flow. He would shower every guest with. This is not something that's recorded. And I got to know from this elderly devotee that Swami would, the little baby Swami would just shower things on guests and they would receive and they never understood what that was. So they thought the child is picking up from somewhere and giving. They never really paid attention to it. That's what Ishwarama said. But Ishwarama was like that. You know, when Swami was to go to East Africa, she was deeply concerned. She went and told Kasturiji, I am very concerned. I hear there are big animals there. Puttaparthi has only cows. There I hear elephants, lions and whatnot. I am very worried what will happen to Swami. And then Kasturiji smiles and says, Amma, you know very well Swami is God. What can happen to him? Then she says, what? What are you saying? You and I know Swami is God. Will the animals know that he is God? See, that is the innocence of Mother Kausalya and Mother Ishwarama. And she was also like that. An embodiment of equanimity. Total surrender. Whatever Swami said, she would just do that. You know, this aspect of surrender is the essence of Kausalya, Sukrada, Rama. Now let us all together chant the name of Swami as Rama. Please chant after me. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 3 times. After this, we'll have a beautiful bhajan on Mother Kausalya, which we will join together. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
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 The second most nearest and dearest to Swami, Bhagavan said is Vaidehi Priyarama, as the bhajan itself proclaimed this now. Vaidehi was the name of Mother Sita, and she got that name because she is the daughter of the great Videha, King Janaka. King Janaka was called Videha because while he was a king ruling over a vast kingdom, doing all his duty perfectly, he never identified with his body. He was in full realization of the presence Satchitananda that he was. And therefore, he was called as Videha. Deha means body. V means one who is separate. So while the body functioned, he always was separate from the body. That is to say, he was pure consciousness in action. And because Mother Sita, who was found in earth by King Janaka, the Videha, her name became Vaidehi. In Sanskrit, Vaidehi means the daughter of Videha. Vaidehi Priyarama. This is a beautiful scene of the wedding that happened between Rama and Sita. And Swami's description of that is unparalleled. There is no such description in any scripture you will find. The way Swami described how the marriage between Rama and Sita happened. Of course, I'm not going to go into the details of the story, but just the significance of this. So it so happened that Sri Rama, who was traveling with his brother Lakshmana and Vishwamitra, the great sage who gave the Gayatri mantra to the world, and hence he is called Vishwamitra, the friend of the whole universe. So they reach Mithila, and I understand there are many brothers and sisters from Nepal as well here. And it's so beautiful because Mother Sita is from Nepal. What is currently Nepal, right? So this happened actually in Nepal in that sense. And the scene is like this. Mother Sita, this is Swami's description. Mother Sita is very short. Sri Rama is very tall. He's called Ajanubahu, which means he has long limbs, hands are almost reaching his knees. That's how huge he was. And Mother Sita has to garland Sri Rama in order to marry him. Now there is a predicament. What is the predicament? Sri Rama is called Maryadha Purushottam, which means he is the highest embodiment of discipline and dharma. And he had a discipline, that is, he will never bend his head before anybody other than his mother and father, that is parents, and his guru, Brahma Rishi Vashishta. Other than that, he will not bend his head down before anybody. Now, Mother Sita is waiting here with garland. You know, Rama broke the bow and all of that. I'm sure you know the story. I'm skipping that part. I'm going straight to the scene of marriage. So, for the marriage to be complete, she has to garland him, and he's so tall, and she's reaching out to him like this, and it's not happening. How much ever she stretches, she's not able to reach because it's Rama and a crown on top of his head. So, you know, wedding paraphernalia. So you have to do all that. So what to do? This is not happening. Swami describes this scene very beautifully. He says, Rama, who understands the predicament of Sita, at the same time knows he can't bow his head down as yet. What he does is he just gives a glance to Lakshmana. Rama gives a glance to Lakshmana. And the moment he gives a glance to Lakshmana, Lakshmana just understands from the glance. Nothing is communicated. Lakshmana understands from that one glance of Rama. Look at the devotion of that brother of Rama. One glance he understands. What? Rama is telling him that Lakshmana, you are the incarnation of the great Adishesha, who is supposed to hold the weight of the earth and all that. Therefore, you do one thing. Raise the earth below. Rama is telling Lakshmana in just a glance. Raise the earth below Mother Sita so she can come at a height at which he can garland me. Lakshmana gives a glance back to Rama. He looks back at Rama. And in that glance, Rama understands. This is Swami's discipline. Rama understands. What he understands? That Lakshmana is telling, my dear brother, if I raise the earth, I can't do it only under her feet. Both of you will raise and your height disparity will continue to be the same. So this is not a solution. Then Rama quickly gives another glance to Lakshmana. And this time this glance means you do something quickly. That the more the auspicious time is going up, people will not feel good after that. So do something quickly. Lakshmana is of such intellectual acumen, such a sharp buddhi, that he thinks of a plan instantly. And you know what he does? He runs and falls at Rama's feet. So he's at Rama's feet. He takes Pada Namaskar and he's not getting up. So you have all seen, if some devotee holds Swami's feet in Pada Namaskar and doesn't get up, then what Swami does? He has to bend and lift them saying, Chalu Bangaru, it's enough. Right? So Lakshmana got that idea. He went and fell at Rama's feet. And Rama had to bend down to lift Lakshmana. When he bent down to lift Lakshmana, Mother Sita took the chance and garlanded. That's how the wedding happened. So this is so beautiful. See how Rama holds on to his principle. At the same time, he finds a solution. Right? And there's so much beauty in everything. That's why he said, I am not beautiful, I am beauty itself.